Hey, Teddy K here for Best Buy Plugin, and in this video segment we're going to take a look at the Parrot Bebop 2 drone. In a lot of ways this drone bears the same characteristics of its predecessor. It has a very similar design. It's slightly heavier because it's got a bigger battery, 27 milliamps actually, so it is considerably bigger actually than the previous one. I'll get to that in a second. It flies very similarly, it seems to function very similarly, it angles very similarly. There's very little differentiation actually in the way it flies, although it is a little more stable. I found that in the air and the higher I went, it didn't seem to fluctuate too much, it didn't tilt too much in either direction because of the wind. So it does the same flips as it did before, and there's four different ones actually. You can go backward, forward, left, right. It can go any which direction. You can change those in the app, the Free Flight 3 app that works for iOS and Android to pilot the drone. The unit itself is also made of more or less the same materials. It doesn't seem that rugged, but it can take a bit of a beating, and the propellers in particular stood out to me. They're made of plastic. I had a friend who crashed it into a tree accidentally, and the propeller bent, one of them bent, but didn't break. And there's another pair that come in the box. The bumpers that came with the preceding model, the first Bebop, which were used for indoor flight, are not included with this unit at all. I don't know for sure if the first ones will fit this model. They might, but I can't say for sure. And as we get back into the flying and the flight performance, I have to say that it wasn't bad at all. I mean, the speed may not be up to par with some of the other drones that are out there, that's for sure. This is more of a hobby drone. It's not necessarily something that you're going to fly to, follow somebody racing something. But it does pretty well, and it goes fairly high as well, although you do have to kind of be careful with the connection, and that's where the Sky Controller comes in. Without question, the Sky Controller makes piloting the Bebop 2 much easier, and the range is higher. It can go further than it can if you're just trying to pilot it with a smartphone or a tablet using the Free Flight app. And then you have certain controls, the joysticks, you have certain hard buttons that make it very easy. I can look at the drone more when I'm piloting with a Sky Controller than I could with the app. As we get into the image quality here for photos and videos, it's 14 megapixel stills and 1080p video. When you have bright daylight, it's actually quite good. It's not bad, and especially when you're shooting subjects that are further away. So if you're shooting a vista that's further away, the lack of detail that might be more evident as you get closer is not as big of a factor. And that's fine. It's when you get into lower light that things get a little bit more difficult, because the camera does struggle to capture some of the detail, and it doesn't have the same maneuverability that other cameras do. I should also note that with the larger battery, you're looking at probably about 20 minutes of flight time, maybe a little less depending on how many flips you do and how much you change the altitude. But and 8 gigs of internal storage as well is another thing I should mention. You're not going to be able to store too much. You're going to have to transfer the content to a computer or a mobile device on a regular basis. So that is something to consider with this drone as well. And that's the Parrot Bebop 2. For Best Buy Plugin, I'm Teddy K.